We speak to Team Flipkart about initiatives they have taken to make a better India. Hello and welcome to another episode of Flipkart for India. As we all know, the lockdown came as a surprise to all of us. There was panic, there was anxiety as to how the lockdown will be implemented, how long would it really last. First it was 21 days, then it became a couple of months, and in no time, 6 months. Somewhere all of us were in the darkness about this, fighting our own battles. But some battles needed support, especially the MSME industry, who were not ready for such a lockdown. So, to help their seller community, Flipkart came with initiatives to lend a helping hand. To discuss the same initiatives, let's bring on the business unit head of Marketplace, none other than Mr. Jagjeet Harode. Good evening, Jagjeet. How are you?
Good evening, Abhish. How are you doing?
It's been a long day and I'm still energetic and I kind of got to match your energy is what I feel. I'm doing good. I'm doing really well. All right, Jagjeet, to start off with, I want to understand your relationship and your journey with Flipkart so far.
Great. So I joined Flipkart way back in 2014. I have roughly spent 5 odd years. I started out as head of strategy for fashion business, spent some time there, post which I did an operating director role. Then I was handling a couple of P&Ls business side. For the last roughly 1 odd years, I've been heading the Marketplace Flipkart business.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the sellers on Flipkart? Because I would consider myself a buyer, but that the entire world of sellers is so great to me. Could you introduce me to the world of sellers?
Absolutely, absolutely. If I really look at the entire ecosystem, we have 2 lakh odd sellers on Flipkart. And in some sense, they sort of truly represent the entrepreneurial diversity in India. So you have, manufacturers, you have traders, you have retailers, you have artisans, you have weavers, you have women entrepreneurs. I'm talking about a large majority of them coming from tier 2, tier 3 towns. There are well-established businesses. There are very young entrepreneurs trying to make their mark. Anybody and everybody who believes that they have a great product to offer, a vast diversity of that have been getting associated with Flipkart. And now you have a very large number with a great diversity, I would say.
Nice. Like everything is on the upscale, but then immediately I think the entire world came to a standstill because of the pandemic. In this case, like how have you been able to help your sellers during this tough time?
Yes, pandemic did come as a surprise for most of us, and business was non-operational as mandated by the government. And after that, I think I call it a complete reactivation of ecosystem of sorts, right? Because everybody had to understand the current situations, which had multiple constraints, and then sort of get started, right? What has happened is, from our side, as we were starting out, we did a huge outreach to understand from our sellers what they really needed. And, one of the main insights that came was that a large variety, given the background, right, wanted a help with the working capital. As we were restarting, we ran a working capital, a loan, sort of program, which was available to all our sellers, right? And it's called it's part of a growth capital overall program that we run. The second thing that was required was, what kind of demand was coming onto the portal. A lot of our sellers also had inventory and they were not sure, whether, the demand for those things are coming. So we sort of connected, we helped them understand the demand pattern. We helped them understand, in some cases, how the sourcing could be done, because the entire value chain also was, had gotten disrupted during that time. Besides that, we also took a lot of relaxation in our policies to ensure that, the sellers were handholded. So there is something called Seller Protection Fund, which is to help sellers if there is a disruption or if they have any problem with the business. And I think we relaxed the time period in which they could claim from us the kind of, various levers that we had in terms of, the strictness that we have in terms of, say, seller cancellation or some of those aspects, right? We took a seller first view. And we gave them the required, time to recoup from it, right? Because the manpower for the sellers were coming back, right? their inventory had to come back. So we were very much hand in glue with them. We understood, empathized with what the problems they had. And I think I have been pleasantly surprised with the resurgence that, the entire community has shown, where we seem to be, we seem to have sort of, taken this entire challenge. And I can confidently say that we are actually doing better, despite so many constraints, that we face.
That's incredible. So there's been a lot of back and forth between you and the sellers. So that means they've been able to tell you what they want and you've been able to help them one step ahead. And considering how you're saying we're on the upscale and now comes the festive season. And this is when whatever you're doing, we want to do more. So is there something for the sellers this festive season that Flipkart has planned out?
Right. So yes, this is the most exciting times for the seller community, for Flipkart, because this is the highest demand time, and I think the second part about all of this is this takes every entity to a next new level. Every year festive comes in, you do much more business than you ever did, and then you stays roughly at a higher level than what it was before. What we have done is, despite, let's say, the constraints of being virtual, we ran a month-long engagement program with the sellers. We did 16 odd events, and these events were virtual but a lot more customized. So we had various interactions were done to first understand what sellers need, right? So to help prepare, you need insights around demand pattern, you need insights around inventory, you need sort of support around what kind of promotion may work. So all of that kit was ready, and then what we did was we ran this program in a fairly engaging manner. So we had external speakers speaking, we had experts from various functions which sellers needed support from. We had Flipkart leaders coming and talking about what sellers can expect. And that was, we did a lot of offline event leading to festive previous to this year. And, the heartening thing is that we've managed to increase the engagement by 4x through this event. Because it's for example, it's location agnostic, right? So a lot of small cities, which earlier, sellers had to travel or some of them could not travel, this time just could attend, right? I can name like multiple cities where sellers attended these events for the first time. And, it's been enlightening for us as well. There were questions that we could not answer in the first 2 events, but then the rest of the 14 events, we had the answers prepared. And, the satisfaction that we see, the feedback that we've received from the sellers is pretty heartening, and we are fully equipped and prepared because of this going into fest.
So basically you're saying to say now you can see a community of sellers. Earlier there were just independent sellers who were coming to Flipkart. Now because of these events that you're doing, where you're doing a lot of training, you're doing a lot of preparation, you're listening to their feedback and trying to make those changes happen. It's kind of developing, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a community of sellers who are the foundation of everything that Flipkart has stood on, right?
Absolutely. And even in those events, we had chat rooms, we had provisions to for people to interact, and the community in various cities is well knit. They communicate with each other. They in turn communicate with us. I think there is a lot of benefit in learning from each other. So all of that, I would say, is at a good stage. A new seller coming in, for example, I think can learn from the videos that the old sellers may have, for example, right? Or similarly, he can talk to somebody in a function in Flipkart and understand what is it like to be in the beginning, what things he needs to be focused on, what kind of services can be, he can pick on to get that upstart. This India, I think despite all the challenges that we see, when I talk to these sellers day in, day out, what you realize is that everybody's out there to do their best, get ahead in life, right? So I think the embodiment of that spirit is very much visible, and I think that's what excites me at least about going into this festive period, as to we'll come out of it much more stronger and better.
It's maybe again this question that I'm about to ask you, maybe it's already covered, but I want you to tell me in specific, if possible, what else is planned for the future of the sellers? Like you've kind of figured the pandemic situation, now the festive situation. There are so many new tentpoles coming, but could you tell me maybe not in specifics, but the future of sellers with Flipkart?
Absolutely, absolutely. One big learning, and I will make probably, I'll try and answer it in 3, 4 parts, right? One, I think the virtual connect allows us to do connect much more frequently and be a lot more personalized, right? So I think something that we've learned from this 1 month engagement program, where we are going to be connecting with sellers on a more regular basis, understand what they may need and therefore solve it proactively. I think in terms of solving and continue like growth, the growth will bring requirement for working capital, will require better insights in how the operations can be run better and smoother. I think a lot more of that is in store. I think it's a journey for a lot of sellers who are at different stages, and we are getting better at it, right? I think every day or every month, when you look back, you realize that you've sort of made a journey in terms of how customized, how personalized sort of feedback and inputs that you are providing. And that's one part, right? And the second big bucket, I believe, is at least this is slightly midterm, but we will work closely with sellers to also understand where they are facing challenges, let's say in terms of either reducing their operation cost, or some of the challenges related to e-com operations specifically. And I think we've seen enough number of sellers doing very, very well, so those best practices can be really passed on to these guys. Final bit is on the business expansion, which is while they're doing business on certain categories on Flipkart today, we could help with what other categories we could help. We have a Flipkart wholesale, which is which widens the scope of where sellers can sell beyond just Flipkart portal. And even if there is any other opportunity, even outside of these two spheres, we're happy to connect seller, make sure that they sell more than ever, right? So yeah, largely that's what I would say in terms of midterm to long term perspective.
Yeah, this doesn't seem improvised. This seems like your entire team is planning towards this future and slowly implementing one thing after another.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think we still believe that early days. I think all of us have a lot to learn, and there is a lot of scope to grow. India is a vast country. Landscape is changing massively. I think, to be very honest, consumers are looking at us for more and more, and it is our responsibility to fulfill it to the best of their satisfaction. So yeah, exciting and challenging times ahead.
I mean, the stint that you have with Flipkart currently, where you're interacting with so many sellers, I'm sure you've been able to interact with some of them on a personal level. Do you, and I know the work that Flipkart has done so far has impacted their lives. Do you have any specific stories to what has happened in the last 1 year and the way that Flipkart has really worked in their life?
So I can sort of recount a few of these stories. One seller who's from Mathura, Gaurav Chaudhary, he started his business retail store, and he does jewelry business. You really had to understand in jewelry space what will sell with this whole work from home regime and everything else put together, right? So I think he has, for example, when we interacted with him during these events, we figured out that it was a very interesting need, and we went back to sort of insights that we were getting. We sort of married with it, and he's sort of it's good to say that he's very well prepared. Probably slightly different from what it was before, but he knows what to expect in the festive period. A similar such name that comes to me is another seller, Nikunj Gondalia, right? He runs his business Patiala House, which is into women ethnic wear, suits, dresses, dress material, saris, lehenga choli, that kind of stuff, right? And he's been there for us since 2014, pretty much the year I joined in. He started small, but now he has like a big team of 45 employees, right? And I think he's specially prepped up for the fest. He's gotten temp forces in place. He's gotten his warehouse sort of all expanded, and again, he was looking for two things. One is, how much will I grow by? And I mean, if I have to get there, I want to do more and more. How do I do that? So I think through the interaction, he also benefited to what needs to be done. So yeah, it is, I think, tangibly translating the expectations sellers have into what actionables they need to take to succeed at the platform. And yeah, many such examples. I mean, I can talk about some rural example, I can talk about some artisans, weavers, but all heartening. I think endless number of stories, but I would stop at that, and I would I'm really looking forward to the festive period, and yeah.
Jagjeet, it would be amazing to just call all the heads of Flipkart and start a bonfire and everyone's having chai and be like, Jagjeet, thoda bataiye hame, bahar kya ho raha hai? And they're like, oh, let me tell you about this one guy. Like just the two examples that you've told me, in my head, I'm thinking of them literally at that position. I'm like, that's the impact that you've been able to do with them. So yeah, this is really good work. Thank you so much, Jagjeet. Before you go, if there's anything that you want to tell any of your sellers who would probably be watching right now.
All right. So I think we ran a campaign for sellers, which is called Best Se Bhi Behtar. The whole idea was to motivate our sellers to believe that they are better than the best, right? And that's the last message I want to say. I think we have been resilient enough. The entrepreneurial spirit that all of you have shown is phenomenal, and we are there with you to make you succeed, make you recognize and achieve the success that you desire. And I'm sure this festive period will be just one stepping stone into that journey. So all the very, very best, and we are in it together, and let's hit the consumer expectation out of the park this festive season.
Wow, that's awesome. That sounds like the end of, like, if you've seen Independence Day, the movie, how the president gives that speech. It's like, let's rally up the forces.
Now you're really making fun of me.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about? I was giving you a compliment. Take it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am excited about this. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming as well. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I shall see you very soon. You take care of yourself.
Bye. Bye.
That was Jagjeet Harode for tonight's Flipkart for India. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Today was an exciting day to shop. And I promise you that tomorrow will be even more exciting. So don't forget to catch me here at 10 a.m. Yeah, I know it's already late. Yeah, no point going back to my house. Luckily, I came fully prepared to make the studio my home. Have a good night.